Hello, there's layers to this family. We are back. We are back. Yeah, man, it's been a tough beginning to this year. So much has gone on. We are finally starting to do There's Layers to This again. Yeah, this season we're gonna have so much fun showing you guys the kind of work that we've got up. And yeah, we want your comments. We're gonna be on YouTube as well. Just go and check out There's Layers to This. We already have some promo on there. But yeah, definitely catch the episodes weekly on There's Layers to This. And we're gonna try as much as possible, to keep the listening side of things still going. So we're still on SoundCloud. You guys go check us out on SoundCloud, but we're on YouTube now. So you get to see our faces. Yeah, we've got a new member of our team, and I'll say that more at the end of the episode. So yeah, let's get into it. Hello world, we are back. It's There's Layers to This. I'm Dumi once again.
And I am Faith-Rose.
Woo! You guys have never seen us in person. Right. The things quarantine will make you do. I know my surroundings quite dark, but...
yeah, we've spoken about that. You need to sort out your lighting next time. It's all about the lighting. The sound is good, but...
I've been told.
With the lighting.
I've been told, man. I've been told. Anyways. Right. So... today is really just going to be a catch-up. This is episode 1. So we really just going to chill and talk about how it's been, man. Like it's been, let's see, we finished season 1 in March? Was it?
Pretty sure it was January.
Was it January? Yeah. Okay. Damn. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we finished season 1 in January and... we were like, okay, yeah, we'll do some research and do stuff until April, and then we'll come back. So, with quarantine happening, it's sort of slowed things down. But how have you been?
I've been good. I mean, it's been an interesting year so far. We're halfway through it at this point. Not that that means anything, because, it's been a very unexpected year and an unexpected way of doing things. But I've really enjoyed it in a sense. I mean, aside from the whole, global pandemic kind of thing, it's been an opportunity to look into new ways of doing things. And I think that's really exciting for me. So, What about you?
Yeah, I've gotten so much better at production and stuff in this time. And we were watching your video on the CIC Inc. Stuff. And your stuff has gotten crazy. Damn.
Yes, to say at the beginning of quarantine, I had Final Cut Pro, but I'd never used it. And then, it was just baptism by fire. And I think each week we're getting better. And I really like that about it. I think it's been so fast paced. I think because it's like, okay, now the churches are closed. Now what? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, let's learn to do all of this stuff and just figuring it all out week by week. And getting better. And I think that's what's been exciting for me. And I seem to have, rekindled certain relationships, spoken to other people that I haven't spoken to in a while. So that's always refreshing. Catching up is really good. It's really cool. And I think this time has taught us sort of to look at what's important and made us understand the fact that just because we don't have things in the same convenient way that we might ordinarily have already had them before, that doesn't mean that we are at any disadvantage in a way, because there's new ways to do stuff. I mean, I remember someone was saying that at the, after the last, when there was my words, I'm trying to think. When there was an economic downturn, let's call it that. I've forgotten the exact word, but okay, like an economic downturn, that's when Uber came up. That's when Airbnb came up. And I think it's a really exciting time, because this has been a complete disruption to how to the world as we know it. And I'm not just saying that just as a case of, wanted to say something cool, but definitely is a disruption to the world as we know it. And I'm really excited for what's coming next.
It's been a crazy it's been a crazy experience, especially with quarantine. Now I'm stuck in our house. We're just chilling.
But okay, you asked me the question, so you answer the same question you asked me, like, how's it been?
Well, yeah, it's been a crazy learning curve, really, to be honest, because I didn't, being a musician and being a producer, I really at first before quarantine didn't have the time nor, the level of skill, to be able to do this and to be able to produce and get things out as much as I wanted to. And now it's like that's all I do. I wake up in the morning, production meetings pretty much all morning, then I'm working through the afternoon, production meetings in the evening, and then that's my day. That's how this stuff is working out. And obviously I have like church that I'm working on and the production for church and yeah. By the way, you guys go and check out CIC Inc. Check out CIC Inc. Just check out CIC Inc. That's all I'm saying. I've said it enough on my Instagram. Check out CIC Inc.
So what you're saying is basically you're living your dream?
Yeah, I am living pretty much my dream right now. Well, I think it will be fully realized when we finally out of quarantine and we're now able to see like, that music like in a live situation and enjoying the music live and going out to places and hearing your songs played and that kind of thing. I think that will be a big thing for us, definitely, who are working on all these projects. But mainly as well, I think, with all the busyness that came with quarantine, just trying to make ends meet and then try and, sit down and relax and spend quality time with family, I think it's been really important. It's made me see things from a very, very logical perspective as opposed to, the usual emotional perspective where you're like, okay, where like you sort of just react instead of actually think about what's going on in the world and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's been a powerful experience, to be quite excited.
Okay, can you? And that's very interesting. Like, you're saying, well, you've seen things from a logical perspective. Can you unpack that a bit? Like, what exactly do you mean?
So I remember when, life was extremely fast paced before quarantine. So everything, like you get up, you go to, in my case, go to school, go to work, go to church, come back. That was my life. So it meant that I was always busy and my reactions to things, to news or whatever was always just on an emotional level, just so like, at that speed, everything is happening very quickly. So when things happen, I used to just react based on how I'm feeling at the time. But now it's like I'll be able to just look at things and actually think about them before, when things happen, I can think about. So an example is like when we started hearing that people were starting to die, for example, the first reaction I remember, because we weren't shut down immediately, the first reaction I remember, because it was like life was still quite normal, so to speak, in the UK, was like, oh, wow, that's sad. Oh, that's really sad. An emotional moment of silence and then back to work. But then now it's like, okay, so what can I do for the next person? How can I, live my life and encourage others? And how can I help out where need be? And that's where, when you and I work together now in production, for church and stuff, it's made me look at things from a more logical perspective to say, okay, there are these issues, but we need to now work from a perspective of like, okay, how can we get better? How can we improve? What can we do that will make things better or whatever? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And I think one of the key things that you said, and that's something that I was thinking about, and I think this time that we've had a lot of time to spend with ourselves. I'm sure a lot of people have had a lot of thinking time. And I think it's really important to think of things at quite a deep level. And for me, I've always considered myself to be quite the thinker in a sense, because I'm always thinking about things that's just been my default position, and I love that fact. And sometimes it helps me process things better and things like that. And of course, this whole quarantine time has also given me an opportunity to think about things in a different way, because much like you, I'm a very busy person. If I'm not working and then I'm doing something else, I'm not often bored. That's one of the things that I always say. I'm not often bored because I've always got something to do, or I'm creating something. And naturally, I'm like, I have to create. I don't create just because, it's a cool thing to do. I create out of necessity. But one of the key things that you were talking about is like, you make decisions, you're making emotional decisions. And I think there's something to be said about that, because when we're looking at how we make decisions and when were our worst decisions made, right? When do we make our worst decisions? It's generally when we're not at our best. We may be tired. We may be, thinly stretched, because we've got so much going on and we're like, okay, I've only got like an hour to give to this thing. We're not able to make the best decisions. And I think I was just talking to you just the other day, because I know that generally you used to work all hours of the day, all hours of the night. And it's also a conversation I was having with a couple of people just this morning. But I think that, taking control of your day is very important. Yeah. And I would say waking up early, getting enough rest, that is really important to the way that we make decisions and the way that we handle our emotions and the way we're able to level ourselves. Because I know life is always going to happen. So this is just one event in the grand scheme of things. Your life still has to go on. So you need to be in the best place possible to be able to, to have the life that you want to as much as you can control, because we can't control what is happening, but we control the way we react to it. So if you are sleeping early and you're only working late as a necessity, now I say that as a necessity because whenever we're doing something, and I think when we're being creative and being productive and getting all of these things done, I think one of the key things when we're looking at that from the perspective of necessity is to say, okay, well, in this time, like when we're learning, we've been learning at an accelerated pace, haven't we, with all the production that we've been doing. So if you're learning at an accelerated pace, it then means at that point in time, you are in overdrive. And overdrive is okay for that point in time, but then there comes a time when you have to say, okay, no, let me do things systematically. Let me take my time and sleep and only work if there's an emergency. We can't live our lives in emergency mode. So, yeah, I really liked what you said there, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's always necessity is necessity. It's always the mother of invention, innovation, all kinds of, ideas come out when it's necessary. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the most important things that we have access to as human beings, is being able to think outside the box under pressure. So yeah, that's amazing. But aside from that, what have you been up to? Like, have you got anything big that's got? Because I know you ain't never have nothing small. So what have you been up to lately?
Well, the funny thing is, I guess everyone I'm talking to just expects that, because I was having a conversation with my friend the other day about the Full Circle book. Actually, I'll have to show it on one of the other episodes. I don't have it quite close to me because we've been speaking about it, but I guess people can see us now, so they'd be able to see the book and the album, and I think that'll be really cool.
Put anyway, the book down somewhere. I don't know.
I know. I'm looking around. I'm like, where is it? But maybe we'll show it in the next episode. So, looking at the Full Circle experience, now the cat's out the bag. Like, my husband knows everything, so we can talk about it freely. The book and the album. What I've been working on is looking at a strategy to really get that out there, because I think the book touches on some important issues and important aspects that we have to look at when we are, making certain decisions, relationship management and all of those sorts of things. And I think there's a lot of talking points in there. So then one of the things that I have been doing is just, getting together some material just so that, we can just have some workshops or just like some focus groups where we're just discussing some of these key issues when it comes to getting into relationships. And of course, because the book was written from my perspective, as a woman, I think it touches on some of the issues and things that women generally do look at. So then I'm just trying to, create that space and have that opportunity just to have meetings where we're just talking about issues that are pertaining to our life, because our relationships are our life. So that's one of the things that I'm doing. But the bigger thing that I'm doing is, I guess it's in line with who I am. And I say who I am because this is what I'm about. And if you've been around me long enough, you'll be able to see, okay, this is all Faith talks about. This is all she says. Everything always links to it, and so maybe let's see, do you know what I'm talking about?
Identity, my friend.
Thank you. Identity. Identity is where it's at. Identity is what it's all about. So yeah, I'm doing a couple of things with identity. So at this point, I've been carrying out a few identity interviews with people all over the world. And it's really cool, actually, just because sometimes you easily forget what you've got at your fingertips. It's not like I just learned about Zoom during quarantine. I knew about it before, but I never actually explored it. So I've done a few different interviews, and the question simply is, what does identity mean to you? And I just get that person's response and edit it all, and then just like do a bit of a commentary afterwards, just based on that particular point. But yeah, just stuff to do with identity. And yeah, we've got a lot more. I've got a lot more coming up. There's a lot more books that will be coming up.
Yes.
And, I believe that a person is only as great as the team that they have with them. So, people like you, Dumi, people like, all the rest of the team in the Faith-Rose organization have been very instrumental to some of these ideas and making these ideas come to life. Because sometimes, I just come to you guys and I'm just like, right, what are we doing now? I'll just be like, right, like, okay, one of the tracks from the album, one of the tracks, which is, and you know what, I think we really need to have a chance where we just talk about the album, like have like a listening session. Yeah. So this is one thing that we're going to do.
Yeah, probably a
not
bonus episode this season. We'll probably get a bonus video or something with a link to like the actual channel. But yeah.
Yeah. So like one of the things, my methods of work and my methodology, I think if you're around me long enough, you understand it. But basically, I know like when we're doing one of the poems on there, then, I recorded the audio, and then Dumi said, okay, well, and I said, and I think you asked me what the sound should be like. And I was just like, rain. That's all I said.
I
just said rain. And you got it. Because I think there's something to be said about being able to draw inspiration for yourself and have that creative freedom. So, yeah, I think I've said a little bit about what I'm doing, but the bottom line is what I do is to create platforms for self-expression. And, my goal is to tell the African story.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. If you guys don't know yet, we covered this in season 1. We are Africans, so we're not necessarily British, but we live here. But yeah, we're Africans. But I think in my understand, okay, I'll give what I've been doing. For me, I don't know. It's been working a lot on like, especially like the full circle stuff. Okay, before I get into that, but the full circle, I think one of the conversations that we had turned into a song. That was interesting. I think it was a conversation. What song was it? I think It's Okay. Because it was like,
okay.
Yeah. I remember we had a conversation, and I think you were going to drop me off. You were coming to drop me off here at home. and we were talking about just, the experience. And I think you outline it in the book. I am not going to tell you what it was. Y'all people going to have to read the book and listen to the album if you want. But yeah, basically that song became, I think one of my favorites because it germinated from a whole conversation. Like it was just, okay, we're on the M1 and we're having this conversation about, just life and just how things have, I'm trying to keep it out of the
I know you're trying to not say what you're saying in the book. And
yeah. There has to be some sort of, secrecy so that people get the book and read it for themselves. But yeah, definitely. That song, I think, put a lot of things into perspective for me when it comes to relationship building and understanding space and understanding, like just the area in which a person operates, just, mentally. But as far as what I've been doing, as I've said, it's been a lot of production. It's just, I'm working on a lot of production. Some things are not completely ironed out yet, but I would definitely put them up for everyone to see at some point, when I'm done with all the legals and everything. Because there's always a lot of money involved in this kind of thing. But definitely, I've been blessed to work with amazing people. I've been blessed to have a mentor like Faith, who is constantly telling me to go to sleep so I can get some rest. Trust me, like when I started sleeping earlier, it makes my days a lot more productive. When I wake up in the morning, I wake up 4 or 5 a.m. and I'm busy, from that time, I'm ready. By the time it hits like 8, 9, I've pretty much spent most of my day already, like, really working. So that's a blessing. That's a massive blessing. It gives me time to pray and to really get into reading the word and really that kind of thing. So I'm grateful for that. Right now, where the world's going, things are slowly getting back to normal. Unfortunately, in the US, we are struggling still with the racism issue. And that's, I know I didn't really want to cover this until the next episode, but I think maybe we can talk about it a little bit. I think as opposed to, saying what really happened, because everyone's seen what happened with George Floyd. And, our hearts definitely go out to that family and all the people that have lost people, due to the violence, racial violence. So I think what we're just going to cover here is like, so with the situation as it is, like what are some of the things as, especially young Black individuals, how can we improve the situation for others, especially if you're in a situation where you're experiencing racial profiling or violence, or you're being attacked for just the color of your skin? What are some of the things that we can do? I'm asking you all this.
Yes, I'm like you're asking me all of this stuff, and of course I'm an expert in all of this. I think this was one of the things that I was thinking about, when we're talking about like, what have you been up to? And I'm just like, a lot has gone on, and not just a global pandemic, but of course, the whole Black Lives Matter movement and everything that has been going on, as a result of, George Floyd's death. George Floyd's murder. And what we have to realize is that that wasn't the first isolated incident. It was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
So I guess that just puts things into perspective, because when you think about that, you're like, okay, this is the straw that broke the camel's back. And I think the word that just comes to mind, in terms of all of that, it's like processing.
Yeah.
Like, how are we processing all of this stuff? Because these things are happening. We're being hit left, right, and center. And how are we processing it all? Because as a Black community, we're very good at making light of situations. We are, a lot of the times, like, within the Black community, when a Black person is there, they're usually the life and soul of the party. They're always able to have a good laugh, but then we're carrying around so much hurt. We're carrying around so much pain and so many heavy things on our shoulders. And I think I've watched a number of videos. I've listened to a few. I've listened to so many things, and it's just like, it is. You feel the pain through the words that you're hearing people say. Like I've seen little girls talking. I've seen. There's this video of this little girl talking. I've seen this young teenage boy talking. I saw a man talking, and then he was talking with a 16-year-old, and you could feel the pain. You could feel the pain that was going through them. And one of the things that I always look at, because there's been so much systemic racism and racism in so many different ways. And it's just like, how do we deal with that?
Yeah.
And as I said, the word that comes to mind is processing. I think the main thing is to look at saying, okay, how do we process that? Because what we're saying is, we don't want to be making, and this just goes back to what we're talking at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You were making a lot of emotional decisions and you were tired.
Mm-hmm.
One of the key things that people have said, at the beginning of everything, when it had just happened, I saw in a lot of people's profiles and a lot of people's statuses saying, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. Those are some of the things that were coming out. And it's just like, when you've been going through something for so long, yes, it's the straw that broke the camel's back, but what are we doing to be progressive?
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing to process this in the way that it will be helpful? Because you're watching some videos and there's people trashing neighborhoods.
Yeah.
People still live there. I understand you're angry. There's maybe some people breaking into looting and all of that stuff. How are we responding? That is going to be beneficial. Are we responding from a place of pain and letting that be all that there is? Because, emotions are there, but emotions pass.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not dismissing how people are feeling. I'm not dismissing any of that, but I'm just saying, okay, something to think about is how we are processing things and how we as a community, not as a singular person, are responding to things. On Tuesday, there was the Blackout Tuesday, and, that caused some controversy even within our own community. Like, how unified are we as a community? That was us as a community saying, okay, we are coming together and others are standing in solidarity and we're doing all of this. Yes, it probably wasn't the most well thought out thing, because people were writing Black Lives Matter and basically blacking out what had been said, and for people who was following the whole movement, and that sort of blacked it out. But why then, on the back of that, are people attacking each other and saying, oh, you don't get it, like, why are you doing that? Like, why does it always have to be that? And I think that's one of the unfortunate things that sometimes happens within our community, because sometimes instead of saying, okay, embracing someone's effort and saying, okay, well, maybe next time, why don't we do it like this? But to completely say, okay, well, why are people even doing that and all of that? I mean, everyone's got a right to an opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that as a community, the way we process things and the way we unify is going to be the telling factors as to how we will progress.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've answered your many questions.
I think you have, in a nutshell, because I think when it comes to, a lot of people say, and to some extent I believe this, but at the same time I don't. They say hurt people hurt each other or hurt others or whatever.
Hurt people.
Yeah, hurt people, basically.
Yeah.
But that doesn't have to be the case. I look at all the people that made actual change. When you look at Martin Luther King, he was very, very adamant about peaceful protest. Mahatma Gandhi was exactly the same. Peaceful protest. You can speak out, you can do everything you need to do, but do not harm another person's body, their family, their property, none of that. Malcolm X was slightly different. He was like, let's take back what's ours, but The sentiment was there to say that, okay, we need to be orderly about how we behave. And I think, it's definitely an issue, and it's very sad to see how painful the situation is and how much it's led people to, violence. And the sad thing as well is just, I think what really hurt people was that it was a 10-minute, it was about 8 minutes. It was
8 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yeah, it was 8-minute, 9-minute video of a guy dying, which is difficult for anyone to watch. And I think the biggest problem was like someone's taking this video and can't really interfere, but they're screaming at the police like, get off him. And there's all this, but it's not happening. And maybe that might be the reason why people are coming to that level. And at no level do we ever condone that type of behavior. However, it's important for us to understand that, like on both sides, there needs to be some accountability. There needs to be accountability from the police to say this cannot happen ever again, and that people should not, be afraid to walk out of their house because of the color of their skin. That is a very difficult place to live in. And I myself, yes, I'm Black, but have never really experienced that. I'm not a person who's like afraid to walk out the door because of the color of my skin, partly because I lived most of my life back home in Malawi, where, 80% of the population is Black. So naturally, that's your home and you feel safe. And the same, being here, in the UK, in my vicinity, in my area, that's not necessarily a problem for me. I have been stopped and searched before, but I wasn't hurt to that extent.
What was it like, Beans? When was that you were stopped?
I was stopped and searched in town. I don't know if I've ever told anyone this, actually. Yeah,
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I was stopped and searched in town. I think there was something that happened. It was just after a guy was killed near McDonald's, and I suppose I don't know. I was on my way back home from uni, and I go to uni in Nottingham, and I live quite away from Nottingham. So I got back in the evening, and I was searched. It was around the same time that this person was killed, and I didn't know anything about it. And so, I don't know, maybe I might have fit the description, but I didn't have anything on me, so the police let me go. It wasn't like a long-winded, stop search. I was just like, okay, because I wasn't sure how to react. It was a very weird experience, but they just asked me to, empty my pockets, and which I did, and I showed them my bag, and they just let me go. So it was a much more tame situation, I think, in my case. But I can understand the outrage and maybe, the feeling, because I did feel kind of hurt, walking back home, after that experience. But I can understand the outrage, but it should never be enough to, tear a city apart. And I like to use the example of Emmett Till. This situation is very similar, where the mother of Emmett Till, after he was killed, had them have an open casket. Yes, he was completely disfigured, and, his body was bloated and everything. It was full of water. And, but she had an open casket so that every race that was present there could see. And the police were there because they were afraid of riots. And they asked the police to come and see what these people had done to their son down south. So it's very, very sad, but I believe that there is room for healing. I believe that if people on both sides, both white and Black, and even all the races in between, whether Asian or, Latino, I think everyone is responsible for change, and everyone is responsible for making sure that the place is better, really. Yeah. So, yeah. I think in a weird way, that's been the world up to this point. But on a lighter note, I think the next few episodes are going to be talking about some stuff that's extra important to you and I. And I think I just wanted to say, yeah, we're going to be talking about things like community and perception. And hopefully you guys get a chance to actually interact with us, because we are looking for people, aren't we? To
Yes,
join
we're
us.
looking for people to talk to.
Yeah,
and
we're
ask
looking
questions.
we're looking for people that, so that we can rest our voices, and we're looking for amazing people who can join into these conversations with us. And definitely, I think this will be an opportunity for everyone to be able to enjoy, the space that we're trying to create here on There's Layers to This. Because yes, there really are layers to There's Layers. I don't know. Have you got anything else to say about our plans going forward?
No, just stay tuned. I think we've got some really interesting conversations to have. Of course, in the last season, we're mainly looking, I guess, at, issues to do with identity, and
the self.
we touched on a couple of things. And I think it's also good just to look in the bigger scheme of things, because at the end of the day, we're looking at saying, okay, well, what is life? How are we navigating through life and all of that stuff, So I think there's a lot more to come. I mean, what we talk about is not scripted, so we don't know exactly what's coming up in terms of how interesting the conversations will be, but our conversations are always interesting. So it's definitely something to look forward to, definitely something that, we'd like to see you again, because I think, there's a lot that is going to be said.
Yeah, there is.
And a lot for people to benefit from. And it's always great to hear people's comments and get people's views and stuff.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning and, at the start of season 1, it was, nerve-wracking, but it was amazing to hear comments and to hear people actually starting to embrace what we were doing and enjoying the content and actually being able to think about some of the things that we were saying. I got, someone asked me, when are you guys starting the podcast again? Because I felt like it made me think about life from a much deeper perspective. So I think it's powerful. It's really powerful, and the fact that, as is with most things, you and I find that most of the things that we start always stem from a conversation we had at some point in time, and I believe that's a massive blessing. So that's us for first episode. And hopefully you guys are going to get a chance to comment in real time. We're going to see if we can do some stuff on live. Also, we are putting our stuff up on YouTube. So we are going to have our YouTube channel. We're going to do some promo after this as well, because we've done some promo before. But we're going to do some promo and just, get everyone on YouTube so you guys can actually see us and make comments and let us know what you think. And I know we'll still be on SoundCloud, so you guys can still get that on the go when you on your way to work. Hopefully when Boris lets us out completely. But yeah, you want to take us out?
Yeah, well, thank you for being with us today. And join us again in our next episode and in the episodes to come. And honestly, you need to go back and listen to season 1 if you haven't done so already, because I've listened to it and I'm just like, wow, there's some gems here. So listen back to it, and just come back pumped, come back ready for more of these thought-provoking discussions. Yeah. So thank you and have a great evening or great day, whatever time you're watching this.
All right then. God bless. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
So we are done with today's episode, and we hope you guys liked it. like, share, follow us on SoundCloud, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell right next to the subscribe button so that you guys get a notification every time we post a video. And if we've got a live going on, we'll try as much as possible for you guys to see that beforehand. We also have our Instagram page and our Facebook page running, so you guys can have access to us and just write to us and let us know what else you want to know, what else you want to cover. And we're also trying to get more people on here, so we want to have more conversations, and hopefully some of you guys will be involved in our conversations. And we are so excited for the rest of this season. We're out of this world right now. A special shout out to Jeevan Riot, who is our new editor. I said I'd say it at the beginning of the episode. But yeah, Jeevan Riot is our new editor, and he is a beast. He's a beast. So yeah, he is amazing. You guys go check him out on Instagram. Check out some of his music as well, because just like me, he's a musician. He's an old friend, a long time friend. And we hope you guys go show him some love, and hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and cue the music.